We're the Gridiron Girls. You're in tune with the game.
The road to Houston in the national championship begins right now. 4 teams, 4 dreams. By the end of this weekend, will be on the way to fight for a national championship. Hello again, everybody. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
I'm Shauna Atkinson, now with more cat ears.
Can never have enough cat ears, as Kirby would say. We're all here, cat ears, and one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not like the same, but we'll get Chelsea caught up.
One of us.
We are the Gridiron Girls, and yes, this is Conference Championship Weekend, College Football Playoff Selection Weekend. We are into that first day and first weekend of December, the countdown to Christmas and New Year's, and so on. We welcome you. And of course, what's news to us is obviously college conference championship games. They begin tonight. You've got 2. You've got the American Athletic Conference with Liberty against New Mexico State. That game has New Year's 6 implications, possibly. And on the Vegas Strip, Oregon, Washington, a rematch of what was possibly the best game of the regular season. That's obviously news to us, but also, Shauna, what's new? What else is news to you this week?
News to me, Ohio has decided to be leading the trans news block by hosting such luminaries as Riley Gaines in our state, as he showed, as the representative, Gary Click, who is just, he's such a jerk, and he is like just embracing her and just this, it's so smarmy, it's so frustrating. And they just had their proponent testimony, and so of course now next week they traditionally then do the opponent testimony, except why would we do it that way when you could then schedule more proponent testimony as well? Because why not have the many trans people from Ohio show up, have to incur psychic damage, because if you want to actually testify, you have to listen to all of the garbage being spewed at your direction. It's so frustrating. And, I'm probably looking to go down to the State House on Wednesday to help, oppose this legislation, because it's HB 68 is to limit because not only are we at the trans youth healthcare ban, we're also at the combination trans youth healthcare ban and trans sports ban, because of course we are. Because why not just be like very upfront about how much you just really don't like those transes? So that's great. So that's really what's news to me, is Ohio not loving it right now. And you know what, though? At least I like to think that all of those representatives were sad after Ohio State lost. So that does give me at least a little bit of consolation. Not going to lie.
I mean, hopefully they can at least find a new coach during this whole testimony thing, and really find someone who's right for the job.
I think you got to give Ryan Day at least another dozen years. Like, I think if you can really replicate the John Cooper run, you have to do it.
Shauna, I hope you get down there, get down to the state capitol on Wednesday, and not only, I hope you speak out.
I'm honestly debating it. If I'm to be honest with you, it's something that I was talking about both as my role as I work for the LGBT and Allied Chamber of Commerce. And so trying to represent not just, queer and allied businesses, but also myself as not just a trans woman, but a trans woman who's an athlete. And I feel like, I want to make sure, we always want to make sure we're using our voices as best as possible. And so it's definitely something that I'm looking into for next week.
And also, just for all our viewers and listeners, stick around. Later in the podcast, you're going to get to see Shauna doing what she do. And she does it well, I got to tell you. Chelsea, how about you? What's news to you this week?
I'm going to start by giving props to absolutely no one from Ohio. No one. Ladies and gentlemen, and those outside the gender binary, Ohio State has been vanquished again. There was a moment where we saw for the first time in 3 years an Ohio State team that could beat Michigan. That long drive, just continuously rushing down Michigan's throat. We saw the first time in 3 years where it was like, wow, Ohio State's going to beat Michigan. And then Ryan Day just had completely questionable play calling after that. Gave up on the run after a first down gain of 2. It was like, nope, we're just going to throw it again. Did not work out. Michigan became so motivated after Zach Zinter went down. This was the most stressful version of the game in the last decade. Like, the last 2 years, honestly fun. This was not. This was full-blown anxiety attack at the end. It wasn't until Rod Moore's interception at the end. Tears started flowing. It was just such a intense game. It really lived up to the hype of this whole week of being like, it's the game. It's so important. My little brother texted me from on the field. I don't know how he got signal during that. But he rushed to the field, and just seeing my little brother, he's been a Michigan fan since he was literally like I could remember, and we went through so many really painful losses. So seeing him being able to rush the field really made it hit home. And yeah, it's another year, and it's a really great time to be on this podcast. I feel like if we did this podcast 5 years ago, this would have really sucked for me. But this is the best Michigan era of my lifetime, and Jim Harbaugh is now a top 3 Michigan coach of all time now. It is so crazy because 2 years ago, that was not the case. I think he's on Lloyd Carr level right now. He's not at Bo level, but if he wins a national championship, I think he might pass Lloyd Carr. And yeah, it's
I
just
think you're right, though. I think that would be a major. I think that would truly, like, not that his legacy really is any question, because I think that especially this, like, 3 in a row is going to do a lot to win him a lot, as history looks back at him. But also, if they do manage to even win their first round game, like if they're in the national championship, the title game, I think that it would also cement him as being above Carr, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's definitely an opportunity. And I mean, Iowa's going to be nothing this weekend, let's be honest. So it's going to be a Rose Bowl game. Michigan hasn't been in the Rose Bowl since like 2006 or 2005. So it's going to be a really special thing to have them back in Pasadena and hopefully playing a Pac-12 opponent.
What's news to me this week? Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Hell yeah.
Died.
I knew he was in there.
But he 100 years old. What the wild thing about Henry Kissinger is he left the Nixon.
He's not in prison.
He left the Nixon White House in his early 50s and stayed relevant for almost another half century in foreign policy circles and in the news cycle. Now, at one level, Keith Richards still alive. And rumor has it Keith Richards will probably be around for another 1,000 years. But Henry Kissinger, I will say this for the man, a very complicated legacy.
I don't know.
Very complicated legacy.
That is a way of saying it.
I don't know about that.
At one level, now, what Anthony Bourdain said, very true.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was a great quote. I was
very true.
Read that come across my feed.
And Henry Kissinger if you look at it strictly from the perspective of American foreign policy, yes, the man will be lionized. If you understand American foreign policy as what it is, and as what it is, he did his job. And he did his job with proper style. If you come at it from a different perspective, which I have a feeling that some people on this podcast do, myself included, you're going to see his legacy very, very different. The man should have been at least tried in The Hague. But then again, if you believe that, then in one way or another, just about every American president should be as well. Like I said, a very complicated history. But a piece of modern American history passing away this week. Henry Kissinger did at the age 100. On the good news side of things.
Oh, I mean, it was the good news.
Well, depending on perspective. No, I'm talking about the positive side of things. Florida high schoolers this week walked out because of the trans ban. of the trans athlete ban because a group of administrators at one school in Florida decided to openly challenge it by allowing a transgender student athlete to play on one of the school teams. Now obviously, the DeSantis jackboots had something to say about it, so kids walked out in protest. And I see it like this: Ron, given his performance in the debate with California Governor Gavin Newsom earlier this week, I thought he had
so dumb. That shit
Ron
was so
DeSantis'
dumb.
smile of like,
no, that wasn't a smile. That was a
weirdest
grimace
thing.
because he knew he got housed. Let's just talk about that. Can we talk about it? Let's talk about it. The man
Gavin
got housed.
Newsom's housing you. How do you expect to last?
Also, fuck Gavin Newsom. He's
Also, fuck Gavin Newsom. Like, right? Like, I'm the same.
Well,
Like,
I can't with either of them.
we know Gavin Newsom is an itinerant politician, but you saw one presidential campaign die, and you saw another one in the future born at that moment. You're
right. You're out of line.
Say whatever. Say
I hate
whatever
it.
you want.
It's the worst. Like,
I hate it. Oh,
I mean,
okay,
Gavin.
Wait, are we going to see is that going to be the ticket in the Gavin Newsom Kamala Harris?
Oh, I don't think they really like each other. Just
Well,
like the vibe I've gotten from California politics, I think they're definitely going against each other.
I couldn't see two people from the same state running on the same ticket.
That's a
I'll
good
never
point.
see
That's a
that
fair
happening.
point.
But here's the thing about Gavin Newsom. Let's say a Biden victory this year. In 2028, he's a challenger. He has just put himself on the grid for 28. He has put himself on the grid. I mean, he looked like Bobby Kennedy compared to DeSantis. But then again, that ain't hard. He embarrassed. If that was a college football game, that's a payout game right there that you saw. Whatever you feel about Gavin Newsom, and believe me, I know a lot of people have varied opinions about him and a lot of negative opinions. Don't say the name Gavin Newsom around Sid Ziegler. But
I've followed Sid Ziegler on Twitter for too long to not have
here's the
seen
thing. Yeah, say what you want about him. His 2028 Gavin for President campaign was born a few nights ago.
I just don't think he's likable. I don't think anyone around the country is going to be like, hell yeah, this guy. I don't know. Like, I saw him get ran off stage at Pride here before. So,
Gavin is
with you because the fact that the moderate to conservative Democrats, like your Sid Ziegler types, and your more far leftist types are also soundly in the fuck Gavin Newsom camp. I think that's exactly what is going to harm him as a candidate, in my opinion.
But on one side, it also could help him because the fact of the matter is that the center, he's looking for the center.
Yeah, because at least
he's trying to play. He's trying to play down the middle.
I don't think they do though.
When I see Gavin Newsom, I see Richard Nixon. I see Richard Nixon circa 1967. I see a guy that people don't like, but people will vote. You may not like him, but he may be the best choice available. You may not like Richard Nixon in 1968. Did people like Nixon? Not necessarily. But to a lot of people, it's like, okay, it's either Nixon or Rockefeller to fight for the nomination. Who do I dislike the least? And a lot of people said Nixon. And who's got the best chance to win? Again, Nixon. And in the general election, your choice was Hubert Humphrey, that really no one that was going down with the ship, or George Wallace or Richard Nixon. People down the middle are going to take they're going to take the least poisonous of the three options of poison you're allowing to drink. And at this rate, Gavin Newsom could be that in 2028. He could be it. He could.
I hope not, but also I don't know. I'm just
is there a Democrat
the political system.
Like what Democrat would you honestly be excited for?
The one who burns it all fucking down. The one who has kerosene and just burns all the government.
They're not going to be a Democrat.
I'll tell you the Democrat. The last Democrat who excited me was an Ohioan, And he excited me so much that I knocked on doors for him for two campaigns, even though he had about a Brian Sipes chance of winning.
I've never supported an American politician.
Yeah. Dennis Kucinich was the last Democrat who I was really who actually excited me.
Interesting, and that was a while ago for him.
Yeah, he was the last one, and partially because of what he did as mayor of Cleveland. That fire because he was willing to put himself on the line for Muni Light, and he was right. But he had to get kicked out of office and kicked around and hang with Shirley MacLaine for people to realize that. But nonetheless, I think Gavin Newsom was born. But I want to get back to the main point of this is I want to send a shout out to those kids at that high school in Florida for speaking out. Even in Florida, amid of all that to speak out. And a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of resistance that is going on down there. People are not just rolling over, they're fighting on. And I think this should be an example for all of us to even as we go into this ridiculous political year in 2024 with all the nonsense that's going to be vomited that way, to keep fighting and keep pressing on. And again, that's why I say, Shauna, be at your state capitol on Wednesday. Be there. But one thing I am thirsty for is this college football weekend, because it is going to be fierce. And when we come back to the Gridiron Girls, we're gonna break it on down. The conference championships, the fight to get in the college football playoff, and the chaos that could occur. I'm Karleigh, she's Chelsea, she's Shauna. We're the Gridiron Girls. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls podcast. Karleigh Chardonnay Webb, Chelsea Poe, Shauna Atkinson, and we're flipping the script a little bit this week. We normally go to the NFL segment, but this week we're bumping college football up to the main stage because, like we said at the outset, this is championship week, and we're going to break it all down. But first, it's time for the college football fun fact. Chelsea, what do you have this week?
Yeah, so as you guys both know, tonight is the last ever Pac-12 championship game, and I guess last ever Pac-12 game in general. Can you name the 4 states that hosted the Pac-12 finale?
California.
Okay, that's one.
Figure Utah had it once.
No.
Oregon.
Really?
Oregon, yes.
Washington.
No.
Arizona.
Yes. There was a
Arizona's
weird one in Tempe, yes.
And I figure Nevada, since it's in Vegas
that's where it is
this
today.
year. So, wow.
Well, technically, it's in Paradise. If you want to get on the differentiation between Paradise and Las Vegas, it's a huge conversation. Do you guys know about that?
No.
Yeah, Paradise, Nevada is a separate. That's where the Raiders Stadium is.
Oh,
That's also where most of the things on the strip are. Most of the Vegas strip is not actually in Las Vegas. It's actually in Paradise, Nevada. Yeah.
You don't say.
Very strange, right?
It is weird. I mean, I know, but that's one thing. A lot of the sporting venues are not in the city proper. For example, Las Vegas Speedway's in Henderson. So
it's so far away. So obviously as a Midwesterner, one time when I was in Vegas, we decided to drive the 2.5 hours up to St. George, Utah to get Culver's.
Right.
And you drive right by the Motor Speedway on the way out, and it's in the middle.
You did all that for a Culver's?
Of course I did that for a Culver's.
Fascinating.
What do you mean I did all that for a Culver's? Of course I did.
Okay.
No,
all right. You know what? You're allowed to make questionable life decisions.
That's called Midwestern. That's called Midwestern values.
Do you not have Culver's there?
No, we do actually. We got one pretty recently in the last 5 years, maybe. Actually 3 probably. Shoot.
You should try that. Also, do you have Freddy's?
I've been actually. It's funny because both Freddy's and Culver's moved to the same suburb at the exact same time. So I've had both of them, and they're both fine. They're both.
What do you think's better?
Depends on what I want. I like that. The steak burger is a pretty solid sandwich at Freddy's, but also I love the chicken at Culver's. I thought that was a good chicken sandwich.
Have you had the cheese curds at Culver's?
Yes, I have. Those are good.
Yeah, those are elite. The fries at Freddy's, elite.
See, it's funny because if I'm in Vegas getting a food I can't get readily around here, I'm actually just going to go to White Castle. I'm going to live my best stoner life.
Oh!
I know.
Oh, why not In-N-Out?
I will say this.
There isn't an In-N-Out either.
Yeah, there is.
Well, in Ohio, but all of the White Castles moved to Southern Ohio. All of the White Castles up here in the Cleveland area, gone.
Okay, so next time you go to Vegas, I have some things that you should try. So they're opening a Whataburger there. Very exciting.
Whataburger in Vegas. All right.
They're opening a Zippy's. Do you know what Zippy's is?
I don't know.
Yes, I do.
It's like a Hawaiian diner. It's really, really good. They have all the Hawaiian classics. You can get Korean fried chicken there. You can get Loco Moco, all the Hawaiian hits. And then there's just so many good things off the strip. There's so much good Asian food in Vegas. I have some news to break.
Yeah, you said you had breaking news. What you got?
So according to my sources, I'm not going to name them. You can look forward to, I'm going to say possibly, there's discussions between the University of Delaware and the University of Michigan in playing in 2025. We're going to have the best jersey matchup of Michigan and Kirkland brand Michigan. It's going to be terrific. It's going to look so bizarre. Weirdest thing in the world.
Wait, what did you call them?
Kirkland brand Michigan?
Kirkland
brand Michigan or Great Value Michigan?
Well, there's an obvious difference between Delaware and Michigan is that the Blues are different. The Blues are different.
Yeah, that's the Kirkland quality.
They're Kirkland.
They could afford the higher quality blue. So I'm not saying they're officially, but there are conversations between the two ADs.
Well, I could see them doing it, given that Delaware is joining FBS. That Delaware
Conference
will be
USA.
joining Conference USA. So Delaware's in. I find that move interesting.
I'm surprised Joe Biden hasn't done some sort of mention about it yet.
We're going to start right up front with big game tonight.
Yep.
It was the best game of the regular season, period. It was the best game. Name a better game this year. Name one.
Colorado State. That shit was crazy, and we were all so engaged in it. It was like 1 in the morning.
It was a great game. It was a great game, but really, when it comes down to it, how many games are like that? How many games ranked like that Washington-Oregon game? How many?
The hype into it was crazy.
Pretty high.
Seriously, how many ranked like that game? I mean, the fourth down attempts, the shifting tides, the ebb and flow. We're going to be seeing a lot of this. And I think we're going to see it again tonight.
Do you know how many seasons Michael Penix has played football for?
5, maybe 6?
It's like 6 or 7.
I mean, COVID changed that one, but
It's
as
so
far
crazy.
as this game itself, what's everyone thinking? Because I think it's going to be another great game, and I think if it's really a great one, both these teams can end up in the CFP.
Oh,
That would
no,
be-
I think it's going to be 1. I don't think they're going to take 2 Pac-12 teams. Absolutely not. This whole year has been the year of the near upset. So I think all the undefeated teams are going to win. And I think it's going to be really clean. Because every time we're like, oh my God, this team's going to get upset. It never really happens this year. Like, every...
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the voters, then Ohio State was technically upset by Michigan. Though if you ask bettors, Michigan was the favorite one.
I mean, I would go with Vegas over the college football playoff committee, honestly.
You know they're
They're putting something.
Is that the argument?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
No,
I feel like that's kind of how it is with like election betting too, because in the UK they bet on politics.
Of course.
also in the UK they bet on
So-
2 roaches crawling up a wall. I mean, that's just the UK. But yeah, one thing about this game though, obviously birth in the college football playoff on the line, but
Yep.
also the Heisman. To me, Heisman's on the line.
Yes.
Paul Feinbaum, shut up about Daniels at LSU. Your Heisman comes down to Nix and Penix. I don't care. No, these were the 2 best players on 2 teams that can go somewhere and play big in the big games. Here's your if you're a Heisman voter, if you don't pick one of these 2 first, your Heisman vote ought to be pulled. This is a Heisman show. This is a Heisman showdown.
I think it has to be Penix just because I don't think Washington would be able to be on this level without him. I think Oregon could probably be on this level without Bo Nix. Like, I think they could easily have another quarterback. I don't think Washington has someone who moves the program so much. Just like when we saw Indiana play great for a year during COVID, that was all because of Michael Penix. Like, I really think he's really like the most valuable player in like the most traditional sense. I think if he's gone, I think Washington probably loses 1 or 2 games at least.
I wouldn't totally disagree with that, but I am going to say this. My tongue's going to confess because I slagged this guy at the beginning of the year, and I'm just going to say it. Bo Nix is for real. I'm going to say it.
I'm glad he got out
like
of Auburn.
This guy.
People treated him so poorly at Auburn. People acted like he was like the worst quarterback ever.
Man, I had it all wrong. This kid is not the Dave Matthews Band. I will confess that completely. Bo Nix, I apologize to you. And I don't know. I mean, I still like Penix for the Heisman, but I'll tell you, if Oregon wins this game, he's going to be the headline. And another thing,
Yeah.
Franklin, a wide receiver, he got hosed in the Biletnikoff finalist. He should have been one. Should have been there. They should have just had 4 finalists for it. But no, this is a Heisman shootout. And you saw it against Oregon State. That game could have been a trap game. And instead, it was a win for Oregon, and they're here. And I'll say it. I will pick Oregon.
Okay.
All right.
I will pick them. I think Oregon's gonna pull this one out.
I think it depends on if there's a quarterback injury. Because if Penix is injured, I think that changes a big. I think.
Well, see, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
What's the state of that
Well,
right
that's
now? Because
it's a rumor. It's a rumor right now because of Penix leaving. Because of with Penix leaving the game. Like there are people who said because of the way Penix left the game, ended at the end of the game, the kick, whatever, the way Penix ended up that game, and some people said he played unsettled. I disagree. I think he played awesome. It was a rivalry game, and I think people need to give a little bit of note of that. That no, the Apple Cup is a rivalry game. It is one. Give them that. And when he played his butt off.
from what I'm reading, it looks like he's probably gonna play.
He's gonna play. Yeah, he's going to play, but I question, because I think if he's appearing more injured, then I'm going to give it, I don't think that they're going to win, but otherwise I think I kind of have to go with Washington.
I mean, it's a tough one, but last week they pulled another one out of the fire to beat Washington State and win the Apple Cup. Good news, the Apple Cup will be around for 5 more years, regardless of what regardless of what conference Washington State gets into. And I'm glad, and I hope Washington State and Oregon State get into, I hope a major conference just pulls them in, or the Mountain West and the remnants of the Pac-12 come together and say, with playoff expansion coming, let's build a league.
Did you hear about the court case? So
yes, they're suing.
Yeah. So they have the official rights to the Pac. I guess 2 now. They actually had the ability to Oregon State and Washington State had the ability to revoke who was going to the Big 12 championship game. They obviously did not do that, but they could have canceled the entire game. They had the legal right to do that. So they could have canceled the game today.
Or rather, they could have canceled the Pac-12 championship, which is
that would have been.
Hey,
I kind of like it just because the chaos.
I'm all for a little bit of chaos. Now tomorrow, on Saturday rather, you've got games, and you've got some games that have some bearing. The Big 12 championship game is early in the day, and
I think Texas will be fine.
Texas is on the outside looking in right now. They need some things to happen, but you know and I know what game we're looking at. We're looking at Georgia, Alabama, and Alabama. They did
play the Alabama girl.
Today we play LSU at home. My top is Bama. My bottoms are Roll Tide. My boots are Bama. Bama A earrings. I have a time because I'm performing today. Now we have my bag carrier.
Hey gals, we got Pants Store, Carhartt, Area, LSU. Let's go.
Roll Tide.
And Jacqueline Moore was right. That was such a performance.
I love them.
That was such a performance. But
LSU,
but that performance pales compared to this performance.
God. So I was like, you know what, Alabama, they're playing for my love. Clearly, they're just not that interested. But then.
Say whatever, but you know what? This is the type of Alabama quarterback that wins national championships for the most part, with the exception of Tuna Tendervittles, as Kirby likes to call him. With the exception of Tua Tagovailoa, this is the type of quarterback that wins national championships at Alabama. He's highly regarded. In fact, when I look at Jalen Milroe, I see Cardell James. That's who I see. I see Karleigh James. Not exceptionally skilled, but has a big arm and can do enough. He does
Where
enough.
did Karleigh James play?
Karleigh, Ohio State.
Oh, Karleigh Jones.
Yeah, Karleigh Jones.
I was
Ohio
like,
State rather.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
I
was like, I'm missing something.
I was like,
Karleigh Jones was like,
Play.
Karleigh Jones, when he was at Ohio State, he was just a big body with a big arm, but really didn't do
that's
that
true.
much else.
Yeah, and that's
But he does enough. We just need him to do enough. And well, Ezekiel Elliott helps. I mean, but also Alabama has they have a good receiving core. Defense is a little suspect. But one thing about Milrose is the kid is very raw. But he can he can run it. He can run the ball. He's good at running. I mean, he's shown that he's a solid runner, but also he can throw the hell out of it. Say whatever you want. He throws the hell out of the football. I mean, early in the season at the Texas game, he got benched, even though he played decently, but doesn't matter. 2 guys on him, he's throwing the ball. He can get it downfield. And Alabama always seems to have some speed on those wings, and this is enough to beat a shaky Georgia team. This is enough.
I don't know. I think Georgia has shown everyone the last 2 years how great they are, and I feel like we keep doubting them. And I just don't know. I've saw a lot of Michigan fans be like, Michigan should be number 1. I'm like, Georgia has only lost 1 game in the last 2 years. Like, I don't
so
understand.
on Georgia as this, like, you're right, they're 12-0. Okay, it's Georgia. Like, and I feel like there isn't nearly the hatred that Alabama incurs. That, like, Georgia, like, I don't feel like people have that much animus against Georgia, like, in the same kinds of ways.
Well,
they look down on them for some weird reasons. Like, they won 2 national titles. They're gonna be the first team to win 3 national titles in a row.
Yeah, well, here's my thing about Georgia. They have struggled in a lot of games this year, with the exception of the Ole Miss game where they ran them off the field. But last
Tennessee
week,
too. The
Tennessee game, but also against Georgia Tech last week, they were trailing for part of this game.
So do you think Georgia has a chance?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. I think Alabama's going to make this a game.
All right.
I think Alabama's going to make this a game. The key for Georgia is 2 things that are key for Georgia. One, their defense is good, and secondly, they can run that ball. That's one thing. I think the biggest thing that will hurt Alabama is this Georgia's impressive run game, Milton especially, against Alabama's run defense, which is porous. It is somewhat. There's questions about Alabama's run defense, and that plays right into Kendall Milton's hands. If you haven't seen this kid run, I'm telling you. I mean, let me put it this way: think of some great Alabama running backs. Think of some great ones. I mean, take Herschel Walker out of the equation, because no one can ever beat Herschel circa 1980, 81, 82. But I would definitely take this kid ahead of say Gurley or Worley or Tillman or a lot of other, or Chubb.
I was going to say Nick Chubb.
I wouldn't say Nick Chubb. I wouldn't say Swift.
This kid's a downhill beast. And if I'm Alabama's interior line and linebackers, you better put a hat on this guy. If you don't, you're in trouble. And I think this is the key for Georgia. Keep the ball on the ground and keep it out of Milrose's hands to make a big play.
So I have a question for you guys. I don't think any of the big teams are going to lose. I think we're going to have the cleanest college football playoff. Of any one-loss team after this week, who would you put in?
You're assuming everything. You're asking if everything goes chalk?
Yeah, let's just say of all the one-loss teams right now, who would you put in?
Well, of the one-loss teams,
Yes.
Oregon, most likely, if Oregon wins, they're in. If Oregon wins, among the one-loss teams, I'll tell you the truth, I would say either Alabama or Texas.
I would put Texas in over Bama.
I think that having Alabama in the national championship tournament is just what you need. I think it's kind of, they go together.
I mean, I don't want Michigan to face Bama. I don't want them to face Bama or Georgia. But like the other teams, okay, I'm fine with Washington. I'm fine with Oregon. I'm fine with Florida State. But like those SEC teams, every single year we go through this, and people are like, "Well, the SEC is not actually that good," and they beat the shit out of everyone every single year.
The SEC. No, let's be real about what we're looking at. The SEC is that good because really, in an expanded playoff, you'd have maybe 4 SEC teams in at least. If you expanded to 12, you can make a case for LSU. You can make a case for Kentucky. I mean, the
SEC is the highest level of college football. It's the college football version of the Premier League.
Oh yeah, I call it NFL Junior. I mean, age group National Football League in a lot of ways. That's where the talent is. And when you look at, you just look at player for player, team for team, even when these teams are considered not that good, because Georgia struggled this year, but when they're on, they're on. Alabama, even in games where they've won, they've had issues, but they keep winning, and that's the key. Like Washington is a team. I don't think, like, I'll say this: as much as I like Michael Penix Jr., Washington is not as good as their record.
I think Washington could do very good against Bama, but I think they would get their ass kicked by Georgia.
One game that's pretty much cut and dried is a certain team that Chelsea Poe really loves.
Ohio State.
I think
Hawaii. The WAC championship. The WAC doesn't exist anymore, but it's fine. They're in the championship. Well, obviously Michigan's gonna be Iowa. I don't think there's really that much to talk about there. But did you guys hear about the Connor Salian sighting?
Where was he?
He was at the Barstool Sports pregame wearing a ski mask, and someone saw him lift up his mask for a second and took a photo. And they're like, "That's Connor Salian."
Well, signals or no, this Michigan team was stout.
You don't need that for Iowa. What's the signal?
No, I'm just talking about what they did. What they did to Ohio State when they needed it, they got it. And I think they'll punish Iowa. Iowa can't score.
No.
Iowa, and that's what's going to hurt Iowa. They can't score points, and you got to score points to beat this Michigan team. You have to score.
You saw what happened in Penn State, where they just could not hang offensively with Michigan's defense.
Iowa hasn't, but that's the thing. Iowa does not have an offense. They don't.
None.
If
because they have the old Michigan players, and they all got hurt. They had Cade McNamara, and they had Eric All, the former Michigan tight end, and they both got hurt in the middle of the season. So even the players who weren't good enough to start at Michigan are now injured. So you have the people below that at Iowa now on offense. But I think more than anything, can we have a conversation about Ryan Day? Do you fire him? Because I think in this rivalry, you got to.
Absolutely.
No.
The play calling.
No faith.
They had a real chance to win against Michigan. I was like, I saw it. I was like, oh my God, if they continue running, it would have been game over.
If you fire Ryan Day, who you get? See, this is where
Riley Gaines, bring her in. Be like, you're already in Ohio. Come on.
Well, my whole thing is, who do you bring in? See, that's the question. A lot of people say you fire a guy who gets you in a position to get to college football playoffs and win a national championship. You better have a good replacement, because the change you want could end up being Bill Callahan.
Honestly, I think basically any coach could do what Ryan Day's doing. Okay,
but
you can beat Penn State. That's cool. You can beat Penn State by 1 score. You can beat Notre Dame by 1 score. You should be, as you have better talent. that they still are getting. That's 3 years in a row against Michigan. When Harbaugh lost 3 in a row, I'm like, he needs to be gone.
I'm kind of
But
with
now
Jim
Harbaugh.
I'm kind of with Jim Harbaugh on this one, though. I mean, you put all this weight on one game.
That's what this whole thing's about. That's what being from
You
Michigan
put
and
all
Ohio is
you
about.
put all this, but you put all this weight for a coach on one game. I mean, I've lived this as a football fan. Yeah, I mean, 40 years ago, or closer, 30 years ago, you had Nebraska fans talking about firing Tom Osborne. You heard that too, because every year he lose to Barry Switzer. It seems like every year came to Oklahoma, and I understand that era of college football is long gone because now it's a quick hook era. I understand that.
It's different though. Like
it is.
I don't.
Is it?
Yeah, 100%.
We damn near lost Tom. We damn near lost Tom Osborne to Colorado because of all this heat. Thank God for us Nebraska fans that the AD that Bob Devaney didn't listen to him. But now you have a quick hook era. All I'm saying is, if you fire this guy, you better have a capable replacement in the wings, and they better be capable.
With all due respect to all of their college football programs, I don't think there's anything like this in this sport other than Michigan, Ohio State, even the Bama, even the Iron Bowl. It's not the pinnacle of your season. With Michigan and Ohio State, this is everything. This is like, I think the only comparable rivalry is maybe like El Clasico or
I wouldn't go that. I wouldn't go that far because
you don't think so?
In the region, I'll agree with you because of what football means to that part of the country. What those two
I think
teams
it's beyond football, though.
I'll agree. It's cultural. No, it's cultural,
Yeah.
especially when you have Bo and Woody. No, Chelsea, I agree with you on that. I'm not going to, but at the same time, when it gets to be that, but how often is Ohio State and Michigan, even in my lifetime, have been at the level where winners having a shot at a national championship, losers going to the Tostitos Bowl? It hasn't been as much as Ohioans and Michiganders think it is. And let's also be real. How many national championships has Bo Schembechler got?
He had 0. That's a very that's a very valid thing, but that's not what matters.
No, it doesn't matter. No, here's the thing. It matters more now. I'll agree with you because national championships are on the line.
But even with that, though, like, I feel like some of the best loved Michigan victories were the years where they sucked, and then they took Ohio State out.
But they beat Ohio State. And that's fair.
And I think it's just different. I feel like your PTSD from Nebraska's hiring practice is really coming out right now, where you're like, don't do it.
In some ways, yes, because I felt we gave up. I felt that Nebraska at the time rushed on. Nebraska acted like the way Northwestern is often acted. They act the way of losing. You don't act like New Mexico State or Northwestern. Don't think you're going to change coaches every 3 or 4 years. I'd give Ryan Day an opportunity. This guy's not a bad coach. Quickly looking at the ACC, Florida State could be on their third quarterback.
Yeah.
They could be. They could be very well on their third quarterback right now. If Rademacher can't go, what does Florida State win? And if they don't, which is there a chance they might not? This Louisville team last week, notwithstanding, is good. Who gets in?
I want to say this game should be on the CW, as the ACC should be all on the CW. I think that's where God intends it to be. But I don't know. I don't think any of us have a take on the third string quarterback for Florida State.
From what I hear, I hear their number 3 guy is the guy of the future. They say he's the future of the fun.
I don't know. I think it's a toss-up, but I think I kind of go back to this whole year that every single week's been like, oh my god, is this going to be the week where all these top teams fall? And every single week it hasn't happened. So I'm assuming it's just going to return to the medium, and it's just going to, Florida State's going to win, probably lose pretty bad in the playoff. Like, I feel like this is kind of what happens every few years.
Well, also want to throw at least one. Get back to the Big 12 for a second. Texas. What gets them in?
This music gets them in.
It would be a Florida State losing, and Georgia winning, and they're in.
Well, I can tell you one thing. This Texas team, yours is now. There's another question. Here's another hot rumor. Arch Manning leaving Texas?
I heard about that. I could see it.
When yours is coming back for one more year.
I saw Ohio State as an idea. They're like, Marvin Harrison Jr. stay one more year.
Oh my god. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to do that.
No.
He's ready to get out.
Yes.
But I'll tell you one thing. If Texas gets into this thing, they have a team that could be trouble for somebody. They could be. If they can get in.
I feel like ideal semifinals, you get Michigan against one of the Pac-12 teams in the Rose Bowl, how it should be, and then you have Georgia against Texas. I think that'd be so much fun.
I think it would be so much. I would agree, even though the national champ, the CFP I'd like to see is this. I'd like to see, and see, that's the question. If Alabama beats Georgia, is Georgia out?
No, Georgia's can get in. I feel like you have to, yeah.
Georgia drops to 3, Alabama moves to 4, Michigan 1, and probably then Washington 2, yeah.
I would disagree. If Alabama blows them out, they're gone. Because I really think style points are going to matter in this thing. Style points will matter. You're going to need style. You're going to need some style points. I think Georgia's getting in, all Georgia's got to do is win. But if they lose, it's got to be close. Because it's got to be close. They can't get their butt beat. And same way with Oregon, same way with Washington. Washington and Oregon, they both get in if that's another epic like they played.
No way.
No way. Make a case for it. You can
you can make a case, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Let me put it this way. If Florida State loses, which they might, bets are off.
Yeah, then I think it's Texas. I think that's who goes in.
There are 2 conference championship games which factor into the New Year's 6 picture because the group of 5 the highest ranked group of 5 gets in, but they're close. They're close between Tulane and Liberty. And right now Tulane's there, but it's razor thin.
Also SMU too.
Well, yes, SMU could get in there, and I think here's the question: if SMU beats Tulane and Liberty destroys New Mexico State, who gets that pick? Or if Tulane and SMU play a tight game, play like a 15-14 game, but Liberty goes out and just throttles New Mexico State, which they could, who gets that?
Liberty deserves it. You go undefeated. I think you at least should get a New Year's 6 bowl and not a playoff shot. I know that's a controversial view and everyone's going to be like, Liberty's not very good. I understand, but I think there needs to be some sort of fairness in this system.
I think, my whole thing is I think Liberty is as good as Tulane. My personal enmities for Liberty have to do with who started Liberty. But give the Flames their credit. Give them their credit. And I think if nothing else, let I have an idea. Liberty and this is why I think we got to get some of these bowl tie-ins are for the birds because I'd love to see Liberty and Tulane just go. I'd like to see the group of 5 say, since you're going to keep screwing us, fine, we'll form our own thing. We'll
I
form
don't
our own
know.
thing.
I like it. I like how big and weird it is. Like,
I like how big and weird it is too. But now, exit question for everybody: who's your 4? Who's in?
it's gonna be all the obvious ones. It's gonna be the Pac-12 champion. I guess probably Washington.
Pac-12. I think the best way of saying it though is the Pac-12 champion will be the 4th seed.
Yeah. Then you will have, even if Michigan lost, I feel like they would still get in, but I don't think they're gonna lose to Iowa. I don't even think Iowa thinks they're gonna beat Michigan.
If Michigan loses to Iowa, I could see them falling to 5. If Oregon and Washington play a good game.
Right. Well, I'll tell you. I will tell you.
Yeah, I don't think you want to talk about that outcome.
I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Right,
Like,
no, I think
I don't
that's the
know.
more accurate. But if they do, that would be my prediction.
I say it like this: Georgia's gonna be. I'm gonna see it here. Georgia's gonna beat Alabama.
Yeah,
and it'll be a definitive win, something like 30-19. It'll be definitive. It'll be. I will take Oregon over Washington in a steel cage death match. It'll be like 37-35. Michigan's going to throttle Iowa. If Iowa gets points, I'd be surprised. Here's where it's going to cut. Louisville will beat Florida State.
Okay.
I think Louisville's going to come back from laying that egg against Kentucky, and they're going to beat Florida State. I think Texas will beat Oklahoma State, but it won't be enough. Georgia will be the number 1 seed. Michigan 2, Oregon 3, Washington 4.
I don't think there's any way that there's going to be 2 Pac-12 teams.
Who do you let in if not a winner of a Pac-12 team championship?
Texas.
That's another epic.
Texas.
No.
Why? They're a conference champion. They have 1 loss, and they beat Alabama, the team that Georgia just beat in a championship game. I just don't.
And they lost to an Oklahoma team that really bottomed out at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry game, and they barely lost. And Lana Del Rey was supporting Oklahoma, so it's not their fault.
Let me put it this way: if that Pac-12 championship game is as good and close and played as fiercely far as it was in October, Texas, sorry, you don't have a leg to stand on. Enjoy the Peach Bowl.
Also, isn't this Oklahoma State's second chance to win because they won the Big 12 last year, right? Or was that Kansas State?
No, Kansas State beat them, I believe.
2 years ago.
But here's the thing. Now, how could Texas get in? They got to destroy Florida. They got to destroy Oklahoma State, and I don't think they can do it. You have to do. If Texas beats up Oklahoma State the way that they beat Texas Tech, that's a different deal. Again, to me, the style points are going to matter for those last few seats, depending on what happens. Although, honestly, Chelsea, part of me thinks like you're thinking this could very well go chalk.
I would love to see Texas, Georgia in it's in the Sugar Bowl, halfway between the two, essentially. That's great. We have the classic Rose Bowl matchup actually on New Year's Day. Like, I think it's gonna be a really special day of college football if it plays out right.
It will be. And no, exit question, Shauna, who you got? As far because you're fighting between Michigan and Alabama. So who you got?
I watched all of that Michigan-Ohio State game, and it's hard not to feel like Michigan might be the answer right now. Like, there's a part of me that just cannot close the door on Alabama in my life. And that is something that we all have our marks of shame, and I guess that's mine, is that I just can't say, like, no, I'm not an Alabama fan. Well, I can say, no, I'm not an Alabama fan, but I can't definitively say I will never be, or I cannot, like, I'm not going to root against them. I'm hoping they beat Georgia.
That's being a Bama fan.
Well, Sean, if that's
no, I wouldn't say that much.
If that's the case, you got to do it. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. We'll say, if they make it a game, we'll talk. Okay, I'll be wearing Bama, somewhere. I don't know.
Well, everybody, when we come back, we're going to take a quick look at pro ranks. And coming up a little bit later, Shauna may not have a favorite college football team, but she has a favorite sport, and she can kill at it. I'm Karleigh. She's Chelsea. She's Shauna with the Gridiron Girls. Stay with us. Hey, Curb, time for the corner.
Oh, whatever. You're all about that boring college football. You know how I feel about that. That's how I feel about college football. Anyway, Lions Saints this week. The Lions are going to win that one 30-10. Easy pickings. The Buccaneers are going to make sure the Panthers lose another game. It'll be 31-14. And Cat Bowl. Monday night. Jaguars, Bengals. Yeah, I'm excited about that one because that's my AFC Cool Cats. Wait a minute. Isn't that my Trevor Lawrence? Yeah. 34-14. Jaguars in an easy win. Also, good luck to the preview A&M Panthers. They're taking on those Snakes in Florida at the SWAC championship game. And also, you know what? Since the college football playoff can't have cat teams, we need a college feline playoff. Yeah, you heard me. I said what I said. College feline playoff. The Missouri Tigers are the top seed. Penn State Nittany Lions are the number 2 seed. The LSU Tigers are the number 3 seed. And rounding out that Final Four, the Arizona Wildcats. 2 semifinalist teams will play, and then the 2 winners go to the Cat Food Bowl. Who needs the CFP when you got the college feline playoffs?
And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls podcast. Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb, Chelsea Post, Shauna Atkinson, taking a quick look at the NFL this week. Obviously, the colleges are running the roost right now with a college football playoff. But one thing, looking at the NFL LGBTQIA plus league, well, first, big win for Chelsea Poe. Nice little win out of you this past week.
I'm nearly bowl eligible. Finished at 5-7. You know, maybe like one of like the Bahamas Bowl that's in like Charlotte would call my team or something. So that's good.
The Bahamas Bowl. Is that it?
Oh yeah. Do you know where the Bahamas
I know
Bowl the story this year?
Yeah.
It's in Charlotte, North Carolina this year.
That's nowhere near the Bahamas.
Sure isn't. And
but a good win over the Sleepy Sasquatches. So yeah. I mean, it takes you out of the race for the first pick.
Oh, that's fine. I would much rather go to a bowl where they give me like, you know, a souvenir helmet with the company logo on it. Like, it's really what I'm doing this for.
No, you just want the swag bag and the iPod inside, the pad in there.
Yeah, there's like a little vape or something. That's great.
Bijan Robinson had a nice week last week, 27 points. Not a bad outing.
Also, I think it was a really fun day on Thanksgiving, just all the games going on, and it was enjoyable.
I wasn't enjoying it because at least Jared Goff at the end got a decent stat line, but I was like, when he kept turning the ball over, I was like, I really thought it was going to be a narrative shift. I thought the Lions were going to take it to the Packers, and instead it was like Aaron Rodgers never left.
That halftime show was interesting, wasn't it?
It was. That is a great way of putting that.
What's his name? The one Lil Nas X.
The one who should
not Post Malone, but the other white boy,
Jack Harlow. It's my opinion that a lesbian should have sang Jack Harlow's verse on that song by Lil Nas X, and it would have been much better. I made a run of it. I got to have fun this fantasy season, which, you know, especially with the number 1 overall pick, Justin Jefferson, getting injured, and it was not a great year to be at the top of the draft for that reason. Between that and like Cooper Kupp also having a down injured year. But you know what? I'm still happy. Now I'm looking forward to, and how did you...
Don't remind me about injuries, okay? Because I got pounded. I mean,
just
a lot of it was the biggest. A lot of it. Hey, look at the bright side. You could be the fighting cat girls right now. Partially, we got pounded. Jalen. We got pounded because Jalen hurt. For starters, 2 players who had big games right out of the gate. The Thursday night game was Christian McCaffrey, and he comes out and puts up nearly as many points as I had 3 players entering that Thursday night game, and Christian pretty much had it even. He had 31 by himself, and then Jalen Hurts doing what he did last Sunday, and that's one thing. Say whatever you want about the Philadelphia Eagles. They win ugly, but they win, and number one is a big reason why they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it is. Rarely do you have a player who's great in actual football and great in fantasy. And Jalen Hurts is both. And I'll say it right now. It is the Eagles' Super Bowl to lose. I will put it out there. It is their Super Bowl to lose because I just don't see anybody running with them right now. I just don't see anybody who can be as gritty as they are. Because last week, there were many and on the other side, I'm wondering, who's overrated right now?
Ooh.
And because Dallas is not beating a team with a winning record yet.
I think Dallas is always so hard to determine how good they are because Dak Prescott is very inconsistent. That team is wildly inconsistent.
I'm still a believer in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can win a Super Bowl, but he's got to do one thing. He's got to get out of Dallas.
I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl.
He's got to get out of that clown.
I don't know that he will, but I think you could. I think you could.
He's a good quarterback.
Dak. If you put a team around him.
Well, but you see, that's the thing. Dallas really has not committed to putting a total team around him because Jerry Jones believes he's smarter than he really is. And that's always been the Dallas constant since he's bought that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's always tried to believe that he can be the head coach and the general manager. And no, just own the team and cut the checks. Let coaches coach. Let front office people get the people. You know oil, you don't know football. And that's been the Dallas constant since he sacked Jimmy Johnson. That's been the constant, and it's rearing.
To sign Barry Switzer, who we previously discussed earlier.
Well, let me put it this way. Barry Switzer was a great college coach. No question.
Yes, yeah, of course.
He was a caretaker in the NFL. Because I'll tell you, I'll be the first to admit, as much as I bleed Nebraska scarlet and cream, I love Barry Switzer.
He's an amazing coach.
I
like top
those
tier.
Deion Sanders Dallas Cowboys. That prime time. Was like
I grew up with that. That was
that was what
when I was growing up in the 90s.
I thought you were about to say Deion should coach Dallas. No.
Oh
Deion
no!
Why not? That'll be fun.
No.
Then I have to get my
cornerback. Like I had a Deion Sanders jersey when I was a kid.
I love some Deion when he was a player. I love me some Deion. Oh, look at Kitty.
Yes.
Oh, kitty cat.
And what it can only be a
This is
all right. Hey, there's your cat ears.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now everyone's got cat ears. It's an all feline wonderful time. Now,
oh my!
I had taken that quick departure from the NFL to just round some things out. There was an athlete who was in action recently. Who's really been, this has been a special athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And we at the Gridiron Girls, we not only show highlights, we show our own highlights. And Shauna, a couple weeks ago, you were out there just killing it. You're out there killing it. So let's take a look at Shauna killing it. Because after all,
I'll set the stage. So this is the
he's the Terminator, y'all. That's the T-800. Early on this game.
This is our elimination match against Snatch, who ended up finishing second in the tournament.
And I have to admit, early on, I
got baited into going for that ball. I was just like a mental error. I knew I was wrong.
But now there's this thing. Mm-hmm. She rushed threw down on you. She rushed on you.
Yeah, that was a great play. This team was so tough.
But
Sydney,
that next game, look at this.
Their left corner had my number all day.
Even though you got her on this one.
We traded. Yeah, that was a good trade.
And then, of course, you got a little bit of revenge. Because here, you got a little bit of revenge. Because you remember this. You remember that 99. You know what she done did. And then here it is. He tried to do the same thing, and you was like, that left hand was too lethal. And we like that so much. Let's see that again in slow motion. You just pulled that out like Tron. And then later on, you got that intimidation stance going and makes the catch. And later, brought your player back in, helping the team out. Then later that same match, it was 5 against 1. And in this case, it was your teammate
And
closing it out.
it was just a great catch too. I was so happy for her when she made that. That was awesome.
I mean,
that was really cool.
Shauna, you kill it. I mean, no, you kill it. But that's the thing. I mean, you've really taken to dodgeball. You've taken to it, and
I love it.
What is it about this sport? What is it about
strategy? I love that there are so many of those plays, and you can see because I feel like there's so much if-then statements in dodgeball. Like, okay, well, if that person does that, well, then I'm going to do this. And like that's why I really like what I like about playing corner, especially because you're so much in that like counter mode. And so I was like, all right, I knew that they were going to get there, and I'm like, I need to make my throw, and then they need to make theirs. And so like obviously like that team did because they were incredibly talented. Like they were such a good team, and they were fun to play against. Because like I always love playing against good teams, and there are so many just amazing women in the sport of dodgeball that it's always so much fun. Like I love like really good corner matchups because it's a chess match. Like it's trying to figure out like what they're going to do, keeping them at bay, like and how.
Well, one thing I noticed is that everybody does the fake throw.
Absolutely. You have to be active because if you don't think that someone's going to throw on you, you have to make them think that you can like throw on them. And so making sure you have a believable fake throw, because like some people just like I'm gonna throw at you, but like you can turn that into like a quick like back. Absolutely. Like,
are gloves completely not allowed?
Correct. Gloves are not allowed at that level. But a lot of people will use you can, as long as there isn't a residue that is left on the ball, you can use like liquid chalk kind of things.
Oh.
So
can you use something? But you can't use something like Stickum, for example.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, nothing like Stickum, but like I'll use something like it's like a powder it's called what is it called? I'll look it up later, but it's basically it just like takes like the moisture out of your hands, and so like especially if you get really sweaty, which like those gyms are usually very hot, and so like it's really nice to kind of be able to get a grip, and like everybody's sweating on the ball, and so like foam balls especially like they're very quick. It's like so the like you saw the way that like they could get up there and throw, and like definitely. I made some.
I take it Sin City Classic. You're going to be there?
Absolutely, I'll be there.
It's so sad we're missing each other again by like 2 weeks. It sucks so bad.
I'm telling you. Like, how far away is Vegas for you? It's a flight. Is it a flight?
Yeah, it's a flight.
Okay.
Oh, it's like a 11-hour drive. So definitely not. Also, I don't drive. I live in a city, so
see that's what's wild because I might be in Vegas next. I might be in Vegas the week for the Super Bowl playing some football.
Oh shit,
that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, are we all going to be in Vegas in January?
Vegas.
I love that.
There's a possibility.
It's February for the Super Bowl, but yeah, it's all within like a 4 or 5 week span. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have to get my women's jersey because like the team I'm playing with like a bunch of women from like the DC area, like the DC like Metro Virginia, I think Maryland, Virginia, like
you should do the Asia Wilson thing where you have the sleeve and the tight on one leg.
Yeah,
because you are in Vegas, you really should.
Yeah. That's actually
the arm tight and leg tight just is a shout out to Asia Wilson. Like
I love that's actually a really I do love like accessorizing and things. Like obviously like kneecaps are a must, but like I've been wanting to add like a good arm sleeve in. I think.
Yeah, do both. Really try to channel the Asia Wilson vibe.
But yeah, thank you again, Karleigh, for making it. That was really sweet. I appreciate it. That was some really great touches. Like
before after 20 2032, will dodgeball be in the Olympics?
Good question.
Yes. I think it will be.
Yes.
Honestly, I genuinely think the sport is growing, and I'm very like USA Dodgeball takes it very seriously, and they put out a very good product that is, I'm looking forward to the tour starts up for next season in February. The first tour stop's going to be in Tempe, Arizona, and so I'm looking forward to that. I don't have a team yet, but I'm planning on going.
Well, one thing it is in running to be a demonstration sport in 2032 in Brisbane.
Yeah.
They are pushing for that. So I could see
All right.
2030. I could easily see 2036. With that in mind, we're going to get on to the last call, the home stretch, and since it's college football championship weekend, we're going to let our college football guru Chelsea Poe go first. What you got for your last call?
So the whole state of Michigan was waiting with bated breath to hear anything from newly free Jim Harbaugh. Did either of you catch the press conference?
No.
Well, he said a lot in that press conference. He said a lot.
He did. So I went into it. I'm like, okay, this can be a lot about Ohio State, vindication for the Big Ten. And he led with focusing on the biggest issue in college sports, and that's paying the players. He stated, who can be against the players being compensated for what they do, or at least even paid minimum wage? I mean, who could argue that when there's injury or not? I mean, look at how much content we just got out of college football this week. Like the Iron Bowl, Apple Cup, Civil War, the game, like just down the list, it was so huge. He then followed up for the players to be compensated. I'm using my voice on like take less money for players to have a share. I hope other coaches would use their voice to express the same thing. I mean, I think obviously I'm a Michigan fan. This has been the best run of my lifetime. Defeating all the craziness with the scandal right now, that he's using this platform not to focus on, the Big Ten was wrong. We proved them right. Like, we were able to beat Penn State. We were able to beat Maryland. We were able to beat Ohio State.
There was a lot of victim complex, though. Like, we can't ignore that has been kind of part of Michigan's story the last few weeks.
Because y'all are oppressing us. We did nothing wrong. Connor Saliens is a saint. We need to build a statue of him in front of the stadium. But back onto the thing.
Stallions.
We're all Connor Stallions. But he's using his platform to focus it back on the athletes, and I think it's extremely admirable, and I hope it leads to more coaches saying the obvious, that college athletes deserve to get paid for their labor at all levels. He wasn't just talking about college football, he was talking about all college athletes deserve to get compensated at least on a minimum wage level. And I think as we see these gigantic kind of spectacles of the college football playoff, of conference championship week, in these large NFL stadiums are sold out, tickets going for hundreds of dollars, it's ridiculous that every single college athlete doesn't at least get paid minimum wage. And I'm really happy he's talking about it. And I think everyone needs to talk about that stuff whenever there's any of these major games. We sweep under the rug by being like, well, there's NIL, and that's not for everyone.
Well, my whole thing is that the NIL is still a work in progress as well. But I mean, but then again, I'll tell you, I've always been a fan of Jim Harbaugh. As a player, I was a fan of him. I like him as a coach. Yeah, okay, the America's team thing was a little much.
But it's true, and also Netherlands team was established on this podcast.
No, Netherlands team is Red Bull Formula One. Let's just be real about
with
the Netherlands.
It's Michigan football.
It's Netherlands, the national speed skating team. That is Netherlands team.
Yeah, I mean,
that is
it's so bad that the hottest, best speed skater in the world is Dutch, and she is with Jake Paul. And so disappointing because she's such a babe. And then it's just like her posting selfies with Jake Paul and her family in the Netherlands, and you're like, girl, you can do so much better. So much better. It's sad.
Shauna, last call. How about you?
If you had told me that I'd be watching my Cleveland Browns take the field with Joe Flacco, that bird-looking you-know-what from Baltimore, I would not have believed you. Especially if you told me he was our fourth quarterback this year, and we'd have 7 wins. Like, what a weird season this has been to be a Cleveland Browns fan. I can't. I'm in shock that I'm going to get to see it, but hopefully a big Elijah Moore game because Elijah Moore does nothing with quarterbacks not named Joe Flacco. However, does very well with Joe Flacco as his quarterback. So I'm looking forward to a big game with him, and hopefully we get out of LA with a win.
Well, I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Well, he wasn't until we signed him again. So, apparently, Alex Van Pelt is raving about how good his arm is, and I'm like, all right, cool. I love, when my literal age peers are playing quarterback, for my team, makes me feel, like I still got it. Like, love a late 30s athlete, so.
Shauna, we just saw how much you still got it, okay?
That's fair.
Hey, we just saw it.
What do you
But,
think
well,
Joe Flacco was doing a month ago? What do you think he was just like doing?
Like, I hope he has maybe like a little ship in a bottle collection that he was working on, like a little, maybe video games. I could see.
I could see like Bitcoin adjacent stuff.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate. Yeah, like
Oh, why you gotta call him Bernie Kosar?
oh, poor Bernie. I love Bernie. Forever love Bernie Kosar.
But I mean Joe Flacco, good and back from the University of Delaware.
Speaking of Delaware, yeah, there's a callback to
Blue Hens.
Blue Hens. Delaware, get that deal done.
I'm really sad though.
Get it done.
Let's have Delaware, Michigan. Do not adjust your sets. It looks like an inter squad game. I'm all for that. I'm in on that one. Delaware, Michigan. If they end up playing and they play wouldn't that be something? Michigan at Delaware, do a home and home thing. Why not?
They literally money. Money is why not.
Joe Biden at the game. President Biden at the game.
I don't think he'll be president anymore at that point, or maybe alive. So we'll see.
My last call has to do with a theatrical release that's coming out not too long from now. It's happening on Friday. It is an interesting movie called Lady Ballers.
Of course it is.
It is
No.
It is the brainchild of the group at Daily Wire Plus, that new Ben Shapiro entertainment company that says they want to do family friendly, pro-social, all-American conservative entertainment, whatever that means to you. Basically, this story is a mix of a bad 1980s teen comedy like, say, A Top Secret, and
I don't even know about that movie.
Mixed in with a very bad, grotesque version of Hoosiers.
This is just going to make me want to watch Sorority Boys.
No. Sorority Boys was a Bergman film compared to this.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Daily Wire co-founder Jeremy Boring, aptly named, plays a washed-up high school basketball coach who decides, let's get my old high school team together and let's dominate women's sports by trying to pose, I'll admit, some of the ugliest cisgender men alive.
Well, of course they are.
And try and dress them up. No,
gosh.
no. I mean,
Ladybug. Wait, remember Ladybug?
But see, yes, but here's the thing.
Oh yeah.
No, but here's the thing. You see, if you're going to do the men dressed as women thing, you can do. Tu Wong Fu showed us you can do this and make it look good.
Tu Wong Fu is great.
Tu Wong Fu is
speaking of things that are not in the same category in any way.
Yeah, but here's the thing. In an interview, Boring tried to compare this to Tu Wong Fu.
Okay.
No, and my thing is no.
See, here's the thing. they don't get comedy in the same ways because to them our existence is the joke, and that is not
Exactly.
actually.
But
And the trans people exist. Oh my God, there are people that we consider to be men in women's sports is not like they're like that's
no, but
it's so base. You need more,
no,
you
but
need deeper, and they don't
no,
have
but
it. They don't have
here's
the
the thing.
range.
But here's the thing for me, as a transgender woman who plays sports and and is a working sports journalist. See, here's my thing about it. First off, they're talking about this is the most triggering most triggering movie of the year. I hate to tell you this. I hate
Is
to
that
tell you
like a
this.
good thing?
I hate
That
to-
is
I hate
not
to tell-
true.
But here's the thing. I hate to tell you this, boys. Or actually, I'd love to tell you this. I'm not triggered by this. In fact,
No.
I see it with a certain sense of ennui more than anything else because
Mhm.
I've heard all these jokes before. They've been said before. They're tired. I'm not bothered by this, nor am I really offended. You're talking to a kid who grew up. I learned how to talk watching Rowan and Martin's Laugh In with all their body humor. I grew up on Don Rickles, Red Fox, and Richard Pryor. Um, Blazing Saddles is one of my favorite movies. Offend me, it takes a high bar to offend me. My issue with this movie is not what they say about me, because really you're not saying anything about me, but you are certainly taking serious swipes at cisgender women who play sports. They should be insulted. I mean, there's a scene where they walk into a gym, the Lady Ballers, this basketball team, and they say, "There's no one here." Yeah, it's women's basketball. No one cares. No one
Of
watches.
course. And
And
that is
but here's the thing.
that's so
But here's the
frustrating.
thing. It's the hypocrisy of it.
Mhm.
Because aren't these the same people who say we want to save women's sports? Save women's sports. We're going to protect girls in sports. Yet you spend however long this movie is, and by the way, yes, I will watch it, and I plan to write a review of it for Outsports. No, I'm going to watch it.
I don't
I'm
think
at
you
least
should, but I support you.
I'm going to give them a fair watch. But
That's
really,
far more than they
but
deserve.
here's the
Yeah,
thing.
I don't
But
think.
but hear me out here. See, because the thing is that, like I said, they think they're aimed at me, but they've missed the mark. But they've hit, for example, every WNBA player, every
Yeah.
NWSL player,
Yeah, because they don't like those leagues.
They
but
want to go
especially
back to not talking about women's sports the way
but
they
Yeah.
especially when the National Women's Soccer League has just signed a $60 million television deal. Obviously, people are watching it if people are putting their money in it. You know, Alexis Ohanian is not totally crazy. He's crazy like a fox. And that's something he has said. If nobody's watching, why are so many people in sports placing the bet on women's sports? Because it's there, the money's there, the ratings are there, and that's something that these jokers will never understand, and really they don't want to. Now, really, should we be giving this oxygen? Not necessarily. At one level, it's sophomoric nonsense. But when a sitting U.S. senator who will be making policy on things like this has a cameo role, and when you have a Riley Gaines who's going to state legislatures, most recently in Shauna Atkinson's Ohio, saying the things that she's saying, and really, why, girlfriend, someone needs to minister to you, because you're a person who's been like a 12-time All-American and an SEC champion. And you signed on to have a role in a movie that basically just completely diminishes and demeans everything that you accomplished in that pool. What kind of credibility do you have to say you're fighting for women's sports? Really?
But that's
So,
like always everything, right?
no,
Though.
but it is. But it all comes back down to this. Gentlemen, if you were aiming at me with this nonsense, and you certainly did aim with some trans people, I'm going to tell you, you missed the mark. But think about who you hit. Think about who you stand for. And to the people that may be in the middle of this, because you know their base is going to watch this and believe it. But there are a lot of people who are in the middle trying to make heads or tails of transgender inclusion in sports. To you, I say this. Understand that to the people who made this movie and the people who are making all this legislation, this is a game to them. And they're running a game on you. And that's the trend. And that is the Gridiron Girls for this week. And just a reminder, if you like what you saw this week, hey, leave a comment on our Facebook page, leave a comment on our Instagram, leave a comment down below here at YouTube, and let us know what you think. If there's someone you want to see, someone you want to say, or something about what we're doing, hey, we appreciate you and we want your comment, because everything we do here at the Gridiron Girls, we do that for all of you, the people who support us. And I can tell you, your support has been awesome. And stick around in this holiday season. The best is yet to come. That's the Gridiron Girls for this week. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
And I'm Shauna Atkinson.
Enjoy the road to Houston. We're going to be there with you every step of the way. We'll see you next week. So long, everybody.
Go Blue.